You know, some people, they don't just leave a company behind. They leave a blueprint, a whole set of principles that explain how they think. Today, we're going to deconstruct one of those philosophies, the personal codex of Jeff Bezos. Every big story seems to start with a choice, doesn't it? For Bezos, back when he was working at a financial firm in New York City, it all came down to this one question: the security of a really good job or the potential significance of a really wild idea. That's the advice his boss gave him. Can you imagine? They're on a walk through Central Park, and his boss says, "Look, it's a great idea for someone else." And honestly, that advice was logical, it was cautious, it was completely reasonable, but it also perfectly framed the monumental risk he was thinking about taking. And that gets us to the first critical piece of his philosophy, really understanding the difference between just having a job, building a career, and pursuing something much, much deeper, a calling. I mean, just picture the two paths. On one side, you have this secure, high-paying job with a brilliant team. On the other, you've got a garage, the early internet, and what seemed like a totally absurd idea to sell books online. It was the ultimate choice between the known and the profound unknown. And this is the core of it. Bezos believes that a job pays the bills and a career builds a path, but a calling, well, that's the jackpot. That's the engine that fuels everything else. He knew he had to follow that passion, even if it seemed completely irrational to everyone around him. But here's the thing. It wasn't just about passion. It was about the sheer scale of his vision. A vision so massive that, to most people, it must have sounded like pure delusion. Get this, 25 years ago, he told an early investor that he'd one day be worth over $100 billion. $100 billion. At that time, a number like that for one person was basically science fiction. And this audacious, almost unbelievable goal was built on what? Nothing more than a garage in the internet. And right here, you see the two mindsets clash. While the skeptic laughed and scoffed, Bezos had this unshakable internal belief. He wasn't waiting for anyone else's approval. He was, as he put it, already applauding himself. And that is the fundamental difference between seeing a dead end and seeing a starting line. So how in the world do you make a decision that big? Well, Bezos didn't just go with his gut. He actually engineered a logical system for it, a kind of mental model for life's most critical choices. It's called the regret minimization framework, and it's surprisingly simple. Just imagine yourself at 80 years old. Look back on your life, and then ask, which path will I regret less? It's not about maximizing success. It's about minimizing that nagging feeling of, what if? Because for him, the pain of failing was nothing compared to the pain he knew he'd feel from not even trying. Not going after this internet dream, that would have been a regret that would follow him for the rest of his life. The risk of failure was okay. The certainty of regret was not. All right, now we're getting to the real philosophical core of this whole thing. It's a concept that completely changes how you look at your life and your achievements. Bezos draws a really sharp line in the sand here. On one side, you have gifts, things you're just given. Maybe you're naturally smart or athletic or charming. That's the easy part. But on the other side, you have choices, and choices are hard. They're about what you do with those gifts, choosing to work hard, choosing to be relentless, choosing to be kind. That's where your character is actually built. And here's the punchline. You can be grateful for your gifts, absolutely, but you can only be proud of your choices. Pride is something that's earned through deliberate action, through the hard work you put on top of whatever talents you were given. So this brings the whole philosophy right back to you. It's a direct challenge. When you look back from age 80, what are you going to be proud of? The easy, comfortable path you took, or the adventures you chose and the service you gave? You see, this codex isn't just something to reflect on. It's a mandate for action. It all comes down to a series of choices that define the story you end up writing for yourself. Are you going to follow the path that's laid out for you, or are you going to create your own? Are you going to play it safe, or are you going to be a little bit swashbuckling? When people criticize you, will you wilt? Or will you follow your convictions? And when it gets tough, are you going to give up? Or are you going to be relentless? Will you be a cynic, someone who just criticizes from the sidelines? Or will you be a builder, someone who actually creates something? In the end, it all comes down to this. Your life story starts right now, and you're the one holding the pen. You've been given your gifts. The pivotal question is, What choices will you make?